You know how we always talk about atmospheric weather, right? The high pressure, the low pressure, all the stuff that shapes our forecast. But what if our social world has its own kind of weather? An invisible climate that's constantly shaping our conversations, our decisions, and maybe even how we think. Today, we're going to explore this very idea of social weather.
I mean, really think about it. You walk into a meeting or a family dinner, and you can just feel it, can't you? That instant vibe. Sometimes a room is buzzing, everyone's talking over each other. Other times, it's so tense and quiet you could hear a pin drop. You can't see this stuff, but you can definitely feel it. That sudden shift in the atmosphere? That's what we're talking about. It's a sense we all have, this intuition that there are forces at play that go way beyond the actual words being said.
So this social atmosphere, it's really governed by two basic forces pulling in opposite directions. On one side, you've got information pressure. That's the constant push to explain, to add more data, to talk things out. Think of a brainstorm where every single thought has to be put on the whiteboard. And on the other side, you've got silence pressure. This is the heavy weight of everything that's left unsaid. You know, like that unspoken rule at the dinner table not to bring up a certain topic? The key here is not to think of these as good or bad. They're just neutral conditions, like wind or rain, that create the environment we're in.
Okay, so what happens when one of these pressures just takes over? Let's start with super high information pressure. In this kind of climate, there's a relentless demand for more justification, more data, more talk. And listen, this isn't a personal failure. It's not about you struggling to keep up. It's a structural thing that just speeds everything up. Decisions get rushed, and in that flood of explanations, we can get this really dangerous illusion that we totally understand the situation, even when we're miles away from it. The sheer amount of talking creates this false sense of certainty.
Now let's flip it and look at the opposite, really high silence pressure. And this isn't just about things being quiet. No, this is an active, really powerful force. In this kind of atmosphere, the most important rules are the ones nobody ever says out loud. Unspoken assumptions start to guide everyone's behavior. Conforming becomes the safest bet. And because the real issues are never actually put on the table, big decisions get delayed or worse, completely distorted. Here, judgments get shaped not by what is said, but by the powerful gravity of what is not.
And this right here is the core shift in thinking. See, when a group makes a bad call, our first instinct is to ask, who said the wrong thing? Or why didn't someone speak up? But this whole framework suggests a totally different question. Instead of pointing fingers at people, it asks us to look at the environment itself. Was that bad judgment really because of one person's opinion, or was it a direct result of the social weather in the room? An overwhelming pressure of either information or silence. It completely shifts our focus from blame to simple observation.
So, if we want to get better at making decisions together, how do we deal with this social weather? The typical answer you hear is, oh, we need more transparency. But let's look at a new definition. Real transparency isn't about forcing everyone to say everything on their mind. That's just turning up the information pressure to the max. And it's definitely not about forcing silence. Instead, transparency is about making the pressures themselves visible. Think of it like a social barometer, a tool that lets us see and understand the climate we're actually in.
And that kind of brings us to a final thought to leave you with. As you go about your day, whether you're in a meeting, hanging out with family, or just scrolling online, try to start sensing that invisible climate. Is the pressure around you pushing for more information, or is it pushing for more silence? There's no right or wrong answer. The interesting part is that just by starting to observe the social weather, you've already taken the first step toward navigating it a whole lot better.